Now it's time for today's perspective, and it is the trial that is shocking France, and it's shocking the rest of the world as well. At the heart of it is Gisèle Pelicot. Her husband has admitted in court to drugging and raping her, and also inviting 49 other men he met online to sexually assault her while he filmed it. Now, most of the other men involved have said that they believe the intercourse was consensual. The case, shocking enough, perhaps even more so, when you see pictures of Mazan. It's an ordinary town in Provence, in the south of France. We're joining us now, a spokesperson for Osez le féminisme, literally Dare to be a Feminist. It's a women's rights organisation. Elsa Labouret, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us today. I mean, use the word shocking. It's different. I mean, it almost seems like not strong enough a word. But how shocked were you when you heard about this? I mean, could you believe the severity of it?
In a way, yes and no, because I think shock and disgust is a lot of it is the emotions that a lot of people felt. I think even when you've been a feminist for a long time and you think you've seen a lot of, stories on violence against women, there's always something that can surprise you. But at the same time, it's also showing a lot of things that we've been saying and things that we've known for a long time about violence against women, that are highlighted and heightened in this particularly gruesome case, yes, but a lot of things about it are very common, unfortunately, even though it seems shocking and unusual.
So what kind of things are you talking about here? I mean, without going into, obviously, intense specifics, but what kind of things are happening that people perhaps are not aware of?
Well, to start with, this is mainly about, intimate partner violence, domestic violence. This is, first of all, a case of a husband, brutally assaulting and, I was going to say but there was an exchange of money, but, inflicting horrific violence on his wife, someone he's supposed to be committed to and love, and he had been with for 30 years at that point, which is the truth, unfortunately, of a lot of sexual violence in particular. Over half of sexual violence happens in, relationships in the home, in the couples. So that's something that's very true, even though it seems more awful than it should be. It's like, no, these people are supposed to love each other, but this is unfortunately the truth of sexual violence. A second aspect of it is the very wild profiles of the many men who are now being accused. So we have over 50 men now on trial right now, and they are very different. That's something that's been widely said, but it bears repeating because they come from all walks of life, very different ages, different jobs. And that's also what we've been saying for a long time, because there's some attempts to sort of skew the conversation on violence against women, sometimes with racist agendas or other agendas. But what we're trying to say, feminists have been trying to say, is that, the only commonality between, perpetrators of sexual and sexist violence is that they're men, but they can come from very different social backgrounds, different, all over the world, different jobs, different, ages, different sort of situations. There's no link. These men all come from the same region, but they're almost like a, demographic panel. And that's also something that can be surprising to some people, but it's not to a lot of us.
I mean, it's incredible as well, isn't it, that it went undetected for so long. I mean, it only came to light when he was filmed, he was arrested for filming underneath women's skirts. So something completely different when the police looked at his computer.
Almost by chance, although there's something that's called the Continuum of Violence. I don't know if it's the right translation, but basically the spectrum of violence, which is that what we can see is minor in terms of violence, even though it is a violence to film under women's skirts, and something that is a lot more gruesome and more shocking as, this case. They're on the same scale and they belong to the same they're very connected, and, the existence of some of them legitimizes the existence of others. So it's something, they're not disconnected, they're not different, and they can be done by the same people, the same men, as we can see. And also this case, is particularly, what's particular about the way it all came to light is that it depended on the goodwill of a few people, mainly this security agent, who decided to not let it go, to catch him in the act and call the police. And then the police went to his phone and his computer. That's almost by chance that happened, because he could have gone undetected, or it could have been a security agent that's like, no, that's not my business, I don't want to get involved. Men tend to protect each other in cases of violence against women. So there's a lot of little things that it depended on. But at the same time, there were signs. There were signs that Dominique Pelicot wasn't a perfect man. even though I think his family, particularly his ex-wife, tried to believe that he was. And there were signs that she was not okay. She went to see medical professionals for memory problems, brain issues. She thought she had Alzheimer's, which is very scary. She had a lot of gynecological issues as well, and she really wondered what was going on. She tried to understand what was going on with her body, and it must have been very scary. So medical professionals were aware that something was wrong, but nothing was, it wasn't worrying. There wasn't the inquiry that was necessary.
It wasn't picked up on it.
It wasn't, exactly. Yeah. It was known, but no connection was made. It was like, well, surely it can't be, she can't, be subject to rape, every night and everything, because it's beyond people's imagination, I guess. But there should have been a further inquiry into that.
I mean, it's incredible once you get past the horror of what happened. What I suppose the next thing that you need to think about is how can we ensure that it doesn't happen again? I mean, at least by having the case, I mean, at the heart of it, Gisèle Pelicot, I mean, she's become something of a national hero, gave up her right to anonymity, wanted the case heard in full, wanted it talked about. How much does that help?
She is leading something. I think the first thing that we can see right now is a conversation. I mean, I don't know exactly if change is going to happen right away, but at least we're talking about these things. And we there's a lot of aspects. I've talked about some of them, but there's also the chemical aspect and the, other elements about this case that are important to talk about, and that are being talked about. And I think that's how any change starts. It's this conversation, this debate, this realization of many people. There's been an open a letter or commitment signed by, I think, 200 men that came, that was published recently to, a commitment to, be a part of the fight against violence, to commit personally. So already we're seeing a bit of change, a bit of, consciousness, a bit of awareness in society, I hope. What we need is, first of all, to see how this case goes, because the verdict is going to condition a lot of what happens afterwards. If the verdict is insufficient and not satisfactory, we'll see what happens. But if the verdict is satisfactory, that may bring about change. We hope that it will create a precedent to how these cases are handled by justice system, because there's societal conversation. There's also the justice system, but there's something that we're lacking right now, and it's political conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds worrying, I suppose, what you're saying, because you're sort of saying that things will change a bit, but not enough. That's not good enough, is it?
I mean, we'll see. I can predict the future. I'm not too. I'm more of a wait and see kind of person, because I think a lot of people said that the Me Too movement changed a lot of things, and it did. But at the same time, we've seen backlash. We've seen laws that are brought about, and maybe consciousness raising in the society. But the justice system is the thing that is mostly not following. All the police and judicial process is still very, very lacking in terms of violence against women, how it handles this conversation, these cases. Still today, less than 20% of complaints made to the police on sexual and sexist violence led to an inquiry. The rest of them are dropped. There's just not enough means, not enough money, not enough political will to do something. And right now I understand that the political class is busy elsewhere, but there's not a lot of people talking about what's going on. There's very few people who can actually bring about change that are talking about this. I think activists are talking about it. People, in the media, influencers, there's things happening, but it's not being translated right now. And I know it's been only 2 weeks, but...
Yeah, and not just in France as well, though. I mean, a lot of media organisations from right around the world are now here in Paris reporting on this case because of the severity of it. That must be good to see.
Yes, I think that's where it starts. I think we're going to take this step by step and hope there's going to be a change. Not hope for a complete societal change, but, a step in the right direction, I hope.
Good to talk to you on the programme today. Thanks very much for coming in. Elsa Labouret from Osez, féminisme. Merci. Thank you very much.